There's a lot going on in our lives right now to pay attention to and to take in. When we wake up and we check our phone, there's war going on, and we have animals that could use help and people that are out there struggling, and it's just unbearable to see. Then this empathy that we have, that we've been gifted, that we slept and built up inside of us, we have this reservoir of empathy, and we just dump it out, but it doesn't help anybody. Like going out into the post on our phones doesn't help anybody, not much, right? And so it's like we feel depleted, like we can't do anything, we feel helpless, and it's like we could barely help ourselves, and then we don't have empathy for ourselves, and this empathy depletion becomes so miserable over time, and you need a break. You need to take a break. And I'm serious about this break thing. I'm going to show you what happens. And you already know, right? You already know, but we're going to go over it just for funsies. Here is a riverbank, and I'm sitting by the riverbank after hell on wheels. I have this ulcer from just doing all of I can to take care of my business and prepare myself for the world and prepare myself for the future that I want. I finally catch a break. I plan this into my schedule. I'm like, I need a week off. And so that finally comes, and there's this creek. I think I said river, but it's a creek. And in the creek is this pebble, this big rock, this big pebble rock thing. And it makes the noise. And I'm sitting over by the creek just chilling. I'm sitting on a rock. I probably have a bucket hat on. And I'm looking at this creek, and I'm just letting nature just occur. And what's amazing about this situation is I'm present in this situation. And there's this little noise that comes from this rock here. And I'm just watching the rock. I'm staring at the rock as the water pours over it. It makes a noise, right? And I'm just like, wow, this rock is perfectly placed for my peace and pleasure right now. And it's amazing how much that presence carries into the future. These moments are just magical, and we hold them dear to ourselves. Nothing else can give to this situation more than I want. I have just a little food, I have a little water, a little filter to get out of the river, and it's pretty much perfect. And I just sat there for hours, recharging my spiritual batteries, my internal batteries, whatever, just my brain just, And that is rare, right? We all live these lives that are so chaotic and frenzied, and it looks more like, going up. I don't need to describe frenzy to you. Like alarm clocks going off, and got to get to work by 8 a.m. And so you're driving at like the exact speed limit that doesn't get you pulled over, looking for cops, trying to get there at 7:59, right? And then we're like, I made it. And we sit down and we have our morning meeting, and we have a donut, which is like terrible for our body. And we're doing all these things, and we're not stretched out for the morning. Our shoulders are slumped forward, and our back hurts, and we're getting our arm back in action again for another day of making a few dollars. And it's like, geez Louise, this just gets exhausting mentally, and you do it day after day. And then you get home, and the first thing is, the children are like, oh my God, I want to hang out. And you're like, okay, cool, let's do it. Let's give them their energy, which is amazing. It's probably the best part of the day. This energy that is just part of our day, right? And it's just day after day, and it compounds, and we don't really fully recharge our batteries because we got to wake up again at 6:15 or so and snooze it to 6:30, and then we just barely get to work by 7:59, and then we go to work by 8. We eat another donut. We didn't stretch out. We still got our hurt arm. Maybe you got a kink in your neck or something, and this builds up day after day after day after day after. You need a break. You need a fucking break. Damn it. You can't just sit here and do the same shit every day and not ever take a break and expect to thrive on this earth. If you manage to get to a level where you're fine, my last video was on this, if you manage to get to a level where you're fine, you might not stay there for long if you do not take a moment to breathe and be present with yourself, hopefully in nature. And I realize that if you've got people at home that are dependent on you and you can't ever leave, it makes it very hard to do this. And sure, you might have to wait a year or two. It's just we really need to get this into a 10-year plan. You're not going to be alive for only 6 years, okay? We have like a 10 or 20-year plan, and we got to work to go in this general direction. And if we do not provide ample time for ourselves to just take a break and stare at a pebble in a damn river for a little bit, how are we ever going to have enough enthusiasm and joy and freedom and just believing in our own abilities to show ourselves love to continue this hard climb up? What might happen is we might burn out. We might hit a and I don't know how far down you might go. You might come back up again. It's just, why? Why do we have to do this dip so hard? Like, if you're gonna dip, I want there to be the smallest dip possible while you're out taking a break. We see so many people living on the edge of destruction. I guarantee it, if we could find a way to get these people just into a cool, nice environment where they could just be present, just let the world do its thing and realize that, time actually really isn't too much of a thing when you're out there. The world's ideas that are so important, money, like if you have a $100 bill in the middle of nature staring at a pebble, it doesn't really help you. Sure, you could use the $100 bill to get you there, which is probably very necessary. But once you get there, your $100 bill doesn't do much in nature. Time doesn't really do much in nature. It's just a whole perspective. And it's nice to know once you get out of that you can go back to it. And so if your empathy feels like a little drained and you feel like you need a break, you probably do. And you probably need to take it before you gas out. And I know it might be hard. Nobody said this was going to be easy. Easy is kind of staying fine. It's doing the same thing day to day. It's not stretching. It's not sleeping enough day after day to get your mental back. It's not waking and setting with the sun for a few days. Just a few days just to get yourself back on some sort of track so that you can come back to this crazy hectic life and kick ass, because you are an ass kicker and you are a path maker and you are forging your way through this very difficult path that we have in front of us today in this year to forge through as an individual that wants to have some sort of success and freedom and excitement, go to the beach and do things and buy a nice house that we could chill in while we're 78 years old and we have a retirement that's actually working for us somehow. That stuff is not easy to build. And we know that life isn't easy. And so we're gonna have to take a break every now and then when we create opportunities for ourselves too, so that we can gather that energy to make the climb again. I'm ready for you. I'm stoked for you to make that climb. Smash that like, give me a follow if you want to see more of this stuff. We got better and better stuff as I get better and better at delivering it. So hopefully you can take a break. Hopefully you don't do it in Arizona. It's hot as heck outside. Maybe go somewhere cooler. If you have to hitchhike or take a train or something, there's different ways to do it. And hostels are not terrible. I've stayed at hostels. Hostels sometimes have locking doors, just a shared bathroom. You could take a bus places, you can eat. Discount at the grocery store, maybe take a bus off of the main drag if you're somewhere really nice. I have stayed in some very nice areas in some bottom dollar amounts. Maybe get a credit card and run, if you can, and run all of your bills through that credit card and get points just so that you can take a flight somewhere and take a break. Take a break. Thank you.